We are a member-driven organization, and what that means is basically that the decisions and the things that we try to pursue here in Lansing and across the state are not made, by us here in Lansing or in a back rooms or any kind of thing like that. It is truly a member-driven process, and MUCC is a member-driven organization. You've got to be a member, though, to get involved. Getting involved means policy resolutions, and so those are just ideas that are brought forward to our members from our members about what kinds of things we should pursue to change the face of conservation here in Michigan. And when that really starts in process then is in February, when we have regional meetings across the state. So the first and third weekends in February, are the time when people get together in the UP, the Northern Lower, Southwest, and Southeast Michigan across the state and bring forward these ideas in the first step of the process. At our regional meetings, those are where clubs and members from that area come together to look at the issues and see what's brought forward, talk about them, debate them, amend them perhaps, and then ultimately pass them on to our annual convention, which happens every year in June, where delegates from across the state of Michigan representing MUCC affiliate clubs and individual members now for the first time come together to vote on these resolutions. So there's a great example here in Michigan of how this all happens. Jim Price, who is now our Region 4 Vice President in Southeast Michigan, and he's a member of Tri-County Sportsman's Club, had an issue. He saw that poaching deer, and especially trophy poaching, so not just taking any buck out of season, but looking for those big bucks to maybe sell on the black market, it was becoming a big problem. And he heard from COs that this was an issue. He heard from his members and other hunters that this was an issue, and he wanted to do something about it. So he actually looked around to what was happening in other states to address poaching, and he saw a model over in Ohio where they actually take the Boone and Crockett score, put it into some kind of mathematical formula, and come out with the amount of money restitution that a poacher would have to pay for taking an animal from the citizens of Michigan. And he wanted to see this happen here in Michigan. So what he do? He wrote a resolution. He brought it to a Region 4 meeting. This was probably back in about 2010. So these things can take time. Certainly just having support doesn't mean that it happens overnight. But he brought it forward, he worked it through the process, it became our policy at the annual convention, and then he worked it. He worked with legislators, MUCC, our staff worked with legislators to get a bill introduced. Jim saw this through the entire process. He testified in committee. He brought this to the Natural Resources Commission. He talked to other members. He talked to members of the media to help us bring a face to this issue. So it wasn't just MUCC bringing it forward. It was our member, someone who's very passionate about the resource and really wanted to make change in this way. Ultimately, what came out is a very good process, and what we have now here in Michigan is a much more aggressive fine for poaching, and it's based on the number of points we have on a deer. So simply taking a doe is still the same fine, $1,000. Taking a buck now is $2,000, and then depending on the number of points, it goes up exponentially from there. And that's what the end goal was. He wanted to see was an aggressive fine towards poachers, and that's what he delivered to the state of Michigan. So this, in 2014, is the first time those laws have now been enacted, and we've seen our first poacher actually get busted under this new law.